And we are live, Oracle. We are live and in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Actually, let me do this the right way for you. Welcome, everybody. What's up for the Magic Carpet Ride podcast? This is President Aladdin in the house. I'm taking the wheel of the carpet today. And we have the lovely, intelligent, former problem child, but good problem for us now. Miss Jennifer, the Oracle. Jennifer, how are you?
I'm doing fabulous today. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm in a great mood today. Guys, poor Captain Obvious, Chris, he's with the family today. So, we're flying the carpet today. And just this intro right here, he just had to go, oh, Jesus. Oh, man. Hey, we have a good one today.
We do.
My OMG, as the kids say today. I don't even know if they still say it. You know what? No cap. All Fez. Guys, we have a guest coming on today. First of all, before we even get into that, welcome to all of you tuning in, checking out the videos. Those of you guys that have been watching the videos since we started. Epically amazing. Shout out to all of you. Shout out to Wolfie. Shout out to Mega Morgan. Shout out to all of you guys in the chats, the comments, those of you following us on Facebook, on social media. This family is growing rapidly and quickly. And on behalf of all of us, seriously, we want to thank you. On behalf of the Oracle, on behalf of Captain Obvious, and our entire team, our staff that are backstage right now, helping us every single week. You guys got to see these chats. I'll wake up sometimes maybe an hour late, 74 missed messages. We put it together for you guys. So props to all of you that are here watching. Thank you guys for your support. Like, share, subscribe. This is going to be a good one. Oracle, we had a preliminary, just a little tease introduction phone call today with our guest. What are your thoughts without even giving it away yet? What are you excited about?
Frankly, even just his introduction is amazing. It sounds like the script to a major blockbuster film. I mean, frankly, unbelievable person, unbelievable backstory, and the way that he is now going to bat for the people of the United States is off the charts fabulous.
It's unreal. And when we talk about the patriots that go out there and that fight against these Antifa idiots and these clowns, these paid professional agitators, and we keep talking about how it's an organized system, it's well funded. We're not just making words up because they sound good. We know it. And our guest today is not only living, breathing proof of the power of the level that they can attack you to attempt to destroy you, but this is going to be the first time he gets to have a conversation with our own Oracle, who was at one point deeply embedded in creating that freaking monster, that Frankenstein. But it's okay, because today it's going to be amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, today our guest is going to be the only Terry Newsom, straight out of the city of Chicago. And guys, Terry Newsom is a proud MAGA patriot. This guy has been on a journey of life. When I just read this intro for you, right, real quick that we got ready.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I read it to Jennifer and she lost it. Ladies and gentlemen, as I'm reading this introduction, Matt, look at some of these photos that start coming across the screen. So this introduction, this is basically just a summary. Give a quick shout out to Frank Lardino from the Warrior Podcast, a friend of mine. He did a 4-hour interview, part 1 of 3 series with Terry Newsom. And check this out for an intro. This is the wrap-up summary. The first paragraph, by the way, this is the whole summary of the first episode, okay? So first paragraph, I want to read this introduction to you guys. All right. Recruited at 22, one wrong move, and it was over. Terry Newsom's story reads like the most insane mob movie you've ever seen, except it's all true and far more brutal, cinematic, and unbelievable than anything Hollywood can script. At just 22 years old, this working-class kid from a cramped 750-square-foot house in hometown Illinois was sucked into a whirlwind of international organized crime with tentacles reaching across continents. He brushed shoulders with the powerful Cali cartel and other Colombian organizations, Cuban connections, corrupt Mexican federales in Juarez, Sicilian heroin pipeline straight out of Italy, and the traditional Chicago outfit's Cicero street crew. What began as a casual hammock arms comment at a local gym exploded into a high-octane saga of stolen cars, multi-kilo cocaine empires, military-grade weapon deals, cross-border cash runs, undercover federal stings, savage betrayals, and a personal vendetta that still burns today. This isn't fiction. This is what actually happened. This is the person we are talking about today, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to talk about how Terry Newsom is bringing the fight to these Antifa cosplayers straight into the halls of Congress from the streets that you see as a patriot straight to D.C. And as a proud member, go back to that graphic real quick. This one is freaking hilarious, guys. So for the Chicago chapter of Antifa that they say are not organized, this is the hit list. Our boy is number 2. Emily Cahill, an incredible patriot, gets literally beat up at ICE facilities defending us. We got a lot of cool guests coming up, guys. But today, the one and only Miss Oracle, I can't believe we got him. Let's do it. Our first run of the flying of the carpet. Terry Newsom behind enemy lines. How'd you like your intro, my guy?
It was nice. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy reflecting back on that. And after it's been 35 years in the making, and it's been working on scheduling this with Frank to carve out 5 hours. It was 5 hours actually. Took a long time and lots of rescheduling and revisiting, bad part of my life that sometimes I got emotional, you'll see, and I didn't expect it. I think I blew my reputation, but it was I was exhausted when I was done. I was physically exhausted. I had to go home and take a nap.
It's almost like therapy. It was.
Yeah, well,
actually, got it out.
Yes.
So, Terry, guys, we have Terry Newsom here is a special guest of ours for a reason, folks. And Terry, what we've been pretty much talking about, on this podcast lately has been the effect, that's been caused by, very structured, organized plots to destroy the country from within, to silence voices of parents, of us as citizens, to eliminate dissent. We've been going through all of that, since we started this series. And it's insane because for today's episode, I knew this was going to be perfect, or Jennifer. And we talked about this briefly on the phone before we started the show. Jennifer was a part of the original group that started and created the machine that you ended up having to battle. And guys, this is going to be the first time you're going to see a conversation where someone who's been a total enemy of the left wing on our side gets to sit with one of the orchestrators of it. This is super freaking cool.
Yes, it's pretty interesting.
Terry, tell us what you've been up to, brother. Give us a quick introduction. Let everybody know who you are and what you got coming up, because he's going to be in D.C. this week in the halls of Congress. Give it to us.
Yeah, sure. You have Parent Rights Matter down there. So, I'm 64. I'm a grandpa dad. My kids, when they were starting freshman year in high school, they're freshman year in college now, is when I first got involved in school board or politics. Exactly what you have there. Parents' Rights Matter. That's why I got involved. I was never involved. I was raised Southwest Side, Italian American, Union Democrat family. I was in 2 unions. All Democrat. When they started pushing this forced masking and porn and indoctrination and sexualization of our children, I was shocked when I first saw that book, the genderqueer book, and the graphic material. Mm-hmm. So I went to I almost slipped. I went to a school board meeting, and I brought posters that I made from that book, and I had certain guys hold the posters for me to confront the school board. And I became a target of the radical left, the Southern Poverty Law Center. They all worked together. One of the moms on the left was a Chicago Antifa associate. My picture started posting up on Chicago Antifa's Twitter pages. They're saying time to drop pops because I was called the old, pops. They said Terry Newsom's willing to take a bullet to fight communism, which is the Antifa guys. I never talked. When we talked to Terry Newsom, they said I never talked to them. That was a dog whistle, as you probably know, Jennifer. That was a dog whistle to the rest of the Antifa guys.
Absolutely.
Facebook account with digital anarchists of 275,000 people. My address. I confront them. I guess the relevance of the first part of my life that, I'm not proud of who I was. I'm proud of, even though it was exciting and fun.
It was fun.
So I had to say it. I'm not proud of who I was. I'm proud of who I became. And I believe in my heart, I went through that chapter in my life for what we're all going through now, right? To go out and confront these guys, to go in the trenches with them, confront Antifa, BLM, Indivisible, No Kings, all those crazy nut jobs, Black Lives Matter. I mean, I go there with the desire to call them out, to expose them, and I'm passionate about it, and I do like it. It makes me think like I'm a 25-year-old guy in the streets again.
Well, that's the key thing, I think, to get out of that introduction for you guys. People ask sometimes, how do people like you and, Ben Berkwam and others, go and just have the testicular fortitude, if you will, to go after these people. And we talked about this earlier, guys. It's not a matter of having the courage to do it. Real courage, because courage is not, what do they say it is? It's not the absence of fear. It's being aware of fear, but still going forward. Mm-hmm. And you guys want to know how a guy like Terry, they picked the wrong guy to pick on. When guys like us from the neighborhood, when I say like us guys, we're both from the greater Chicagoland area. We grew up a decade apart, but with a lot of the same people, same kind of family connected people, if you will. And when you grow up like this and then we become fighters for good later, yeah, those skills translate over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's actually managing your fear, I guess, right? It's managing your fear. I mean, I've been shot at. Somebody tried to stab me once. I had guns many times. I was scared every time. I got in like 24 fights, not 300 like somebody says. 300 fights. I got in 24 fights, which I think is a lot, and it's truthful. So I got lumps on my head and stuff, and I'm scared every single time. I'm down in Miami. I'm fucking scared to death. It's like, but I learned how to manage it and control it and not expose the fear, right? And go and do those things. And that's what I'm doing with these little pencil neck Antifa guys. It's so funny, Jennifer. The Antifa guys, they weigh all about 165 pounds. Their women are 225 and up. I'd rather
absolutely every single time
fight 3 Antifa guys, let alone gets 1 Antifa woman, by the way. But
oh yeah.
Funny. It's really funny, and I know it's like you got to figure out how to focus here. There's so much to talk about.
Oh yeah,
it's really fun.
No, we got it.
Yeah, it's what's funny, Jennifer. You tell me. So you have the organized Antifa folks, which you have a better handle on, like the size and scale of that. But when people watch TV, right, you see all these black bloc and stuff. Only handfuls of them are real Antifa. Then they got the Antifa wannabes and the people. The kind of grabber-ons and stuff. There's really. It's like the organized crime, and you got we talked about this before. You got people on the left, the Democrats, the media. Oh, there's no such thing as Antifa. Where are they? Show me. Where's their org chart? They're decentralized.
Oh, not only are we going to show you, Terry, we're going to expose it all.
Yeah. I'm like, you're describing organized crime. There's no. You think they put together an org chart? No, you don't put together an org chart. The mob is the FBI. Fortunately, we got the FBI working on that right now as we speak. They're putting that org chart together. So yes, they described Antifa, a criminal organization to a T. They're decentralized, just like the outfit is. You got what called different crews. Like when I wasn't a maid guy. I wasn't, my friends and my cohort, all of them were either their dads were hitmen or bookies or whatever, or associates or car thieves. But and then you associate with those associates, and you got like your own little crews. It's like little Antifa cells, right? And then you try to isolate from up the food chain. And the feds, they always do is of course, they like to try to get in the top if they can. But what they typically do is they start down and they work their way up. That's why you have that isolation between the Antifa cells. So when the Democrats say that in the news, they're full of shit. They are describing organized crime to a T.
Yes, they are. And I'm so glad that you highlight it like that, because I feel like a lot of people on the right simply do not understand what they're looking at when it comes to Antifa and their feeder organizations, because Antifa is only one name among many organizations that are all coordinating together, and they're all basically splintered into their own little splinter cells, which is all entirely on purpose. And it's funny because one of the things that you mentioned is the way that they show up. And it's funny to hear people on the right talk about it, because they discuss the black bloc as if that's an organization, when in all reality, that's just tactics.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that we're having this conversation, because I feel like a lot of these things really need to be demystified for people who are on the right as quickly as possible, so that they understand the full scope and gravity of what is actually going on.
Yes.
Well, we're going to expose all that here today, guys. I cannot wait for you two to go back and forth, because, guys, we're going to break it down. We're going to tell you exactly how Terry was targeted directly by the SPLC and to show you that Antifa connection. We're going to break it down from his point of view, and Oracle is going to give you the inside scoop of how this all gets set up in the back. Before we do, we always got to take a quick little break, give a shout out to our sponsors, as always. So, guys, hey, to all of you watching, any of you potential out there that want to be sponsors for the show, feel free to shoot us a message. But we thank all of you guys for helping us do this and put this show on. We are working really hard for this, and we got an ad for you guys to see. So, my friend, let us pay some of the bills. Show us the sponsor for today. Guys, we are official sponsors of the official Patriot Gear. So give them a shout out. Check them out. Look at all of our posts. We got our own referral codes. Get your Patriot Gear armor up. And we got to get some behind the enemy lines gear as well, Terry, to start throwing out.
Yeah.
Guys, all right. As we send it back.
To learn from you.
Hey, we'll get her done. This is a heck of a team we got behind the scenes, man, putting this all together. I've literally just been able to, God willing, still fight in Aurora. You see the stuff that we're doing all the time.
You're busy.
And come in and just get the job done. And it's only because of this team that allows us to do it. So take us away. Terry, tell us the story of how the SPLC actually started coming at you, what happened when they started, coming at you out of D.C., how that tied to Chicago Antifa. And then, Oracle, I want you to take it away, guys. This is the two people that are going to give us the real breakdown. And everybody take notes. If you think this enemy doesn't exist, they are here.
Yeah.
Trust me.
They are here for real. And while we're talking, I sent you a couple text messages of Antifa. I dress up like, and you can pull that up while me and Jennifer are talking, but I dress up like Antifa. And I sent you some videos of them. I caught them red-handed, destroying property and stuff. Tesla, coincidentally. So anyway, the way I became targeted of them is that I was told by a parent to check the Downers Grove FOIAs, a Southern Poverty Law Center, a guy named Jeff Tischhauser. He's Chicago Antifa associate. We've got plenty of evidence to show that, how he associates with them and advertises emails and all this stuff and coordinates with them. And he reached out to the school to get my emails, my FU emails to the school board and stuff, to use it for his story. And then I get a email saying in 24 hours, SPLC is going to write a story about you and want to answer these questions. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know that guy was Antifa. I didn't know anything about it, right? And then all of a sudden the story came out on November 31st, 2022, right? And this was after January 6th, a year after January 6th, a year after my big school board meeting. And I was devastated. I was like, oh my God, it was awful, right? A bigot race, all this stupid stuff. As a matter of fact, it's so stupid. The guy was reaching. Anyone know who Alex Stein 99 is? The comedian Alex Stein 99.
Of course.
In that story, it's got me and Alex standing there laughing, and it's got me and Fogiato Blow, which is Trump's nephew, a Christian rapper who doesn't swear. So I mean, it's just ridiculous stuff that they put in there, right? I hate gay people. I don't hate gay people. I don't want porn in my kid's school. Any porn. Heterosexual home. That's it. I don't give a shit if you're gay or if you want to, I don't care. Just keep that shit on my school. But they spun it. They lied. Racist, big, everything you hear, right? All that crap. I was devastated. And then on December 1st, out of Washington, D.C., they put out a press release, the SPLC, about that story. And they called me a Republican leader, you guys. I'm the committeeman. I was the committeeman of 4 blocks over here by my neighborhood. But they embellish it. And then I'm like, why are they doing that back then? Now we know why. The SPLC has been working with the DOJ, right? The SPLC, Antifa is not a terror organization. BLM isn't. But everybody else, Moms for America, Moms for Liberty, my group, Parents Involved in Education, they labeled as well. So they pushed that out in D.C. so everybody could see it. December 2nd, I was put in the Sedition Hunters. It's a site. It's co-managed by Antifa, and they were working with the feds to identify I was a person of interest for being at January 6th. I didn't go in. I didn't fight. I left before people went in. Jeff Tischhauser, Mr. Antifa, SPLC, they started tagging the FBI in D.C. and the FBI in Chicago. When we asked Terry Newsom why he tried to overthrow the government, he didn't answer. Then they started tagging I worked for a big global corporation out of Paris, France, called Capgemini. they started a huge DEI, 400,000 people. They started tagging my CEO from Paris, my North American CEO, our customers, our head of DEI, Harvard University professors. It was a prestigious consulting firm. You know, how could you be DEI when you got Terry Newsom working for you? And then they tagged the Southern Poverty Law Center. Then all the Antifa associates start tagging them. I'd go to conferences, big conferences in New York. They tagged the conference, says racist Terry Newsom, you know, and they just, you know, brutalized. I had multiple investigations because of this. So then you go to December 15th. Unknown to me, on December 15th of 2022 is the day I was labeled a domestic terrorist and lost my TSA pre-check. Now, I didn't know this at the time. Then we go to December 19th, 2022.
Didn't that happen to Nancy Mace?
What's her name from Hawaii?
Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, interference, right? And so we're getting into that right now. So December 19th of 2022, my twins, who were 15, got to bring 2 friends, and they're all VIP expenses paid by Charlie Kirk to go to Turning Point in Phoenix. Brought my wife with, who hates politics, hates it, right? And she went to University of Wisconsin-Madison. I think she's a double agent too. Maybe, I don't know. So she went with. We made it like a little family vacation. We get to American Airlines at United. I'm a international traveler, like platinum and TSA pre-check, and we had to go to the gate. I thought we had to go to the gate because we had 2 minors with us that weren't our children. We're waiting forever. I'm like, what's up? And she gave them all their boarding passes, but me. I'm like, what's wrong? She's, I don't know. She's on the phone. I didn't know she was on the phone with Washington, D.C. So I didn't know that, right? I go, we're going to miss our flight. So I took the family to the premium TSA for American. Showed, I said, here, could you get them through? I'll catch up with you. I go back. I'm like, what the heck's going on? I go, where's my boarding pass? Then I look, 4 agents take my family out of the line. I run over there. I'm like, what are you guys doing? And they go, well, I think there's a mistake. Your name's similar to somebody else's. I didn't, like, what the hell's he talking about? Then I go back by her. I go, I got to go. I go, who are you talking to? Help desk? And she goes, yeah. She goes, here, let me give you this pass to get through TSA, and you'll get your boarding pass at the gate. So I finally get up to the agent. He's like, give me a supervisor over here. Everyone, get out of the line. Get out of the line. It's closed for 20 minutes. I go, what's going on? And this is a different, he goes, there's got to be something with your name. They didn't take it seriously. So the supervisor came, everybody, they shut it down, gave me a high-level security search. They took my wife and kids in the back because they were minors, to do this bullshit. I run my fat ass to the gate. I'm like, like I was out of breath. I was like, I get there, they just closed the doors. I'm like, hey, my family's on there. And then the gate agent's like, who's your family? I go, Newsom. She goes, no, they're not. I go, where are they? She goes, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. So then my son comes running because they were in the back. He's like, Dad. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And this big black American Airlines gate agent comes up. He goes, man, you're on a list with some real bad people. I go, really? He goes, yeah. I'm like, and my son Anthony goes, I know why. Because he didn't. Shut up. And so then we go to another gate. We're waiting for flights. They give my family a boarding pass. The 2 agents are like, have you ever seen anything like this before? They're like, no. So they give them their boarding passes. They're keeping, she said, we're on the phone with DC. It's like, this is really weird. Then she's back on the phone with the DC guys. Do you have any weapons on you? I'm like, are you kidding me? I just went through all this high security. And so I go, I'm going to go say goodbye to my family because they're in a different gate while I was waiting. And then I run over there and they're just getting ready to close up. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Coincidentally, Washington, D.C., people like me had to give an approval. They have to approve you from D.C. to get on the airplane. So that's what was the wait was for.
That's wild.
Just when I got there, they got my boarding pass. On the way back from, we went through that shit again. And so it was a number of stories were written up in the Epoch Times. I think you guys got those stories. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And in those stories, Matt Gaetz and I'm sorry, this is before Matt Gaetz. They talked about what happened. So Matt Gaetz' attorney contacted me, and then separately, Troy Niels called the reporter and said, have that guy call me. Troy Niels sits on the TSA, in the transportation board, and you have that letter. I don't know what you have teed up, but he has he reached out to the TSA, and then he got his letter back from the TSA in January, and it said as of December 15th. That's why when I told you December 15th, I didn't know that was the date. Mm-hmm. This guy TSA said as of December 15th, we decided to do another review of Mr. Newsom's TSA pre-check privileges, of which he no longer fits the requirement.
Wow.
They didn't tell him why.
So Jennifer, as Terry was going through all this, that led them to the point where now he's a domestic terrorist where he can't fly.
Mm-hmm.
Explain the inner workings of that campaign that they put against him, because this is his first experience with this at that time. He wasn't expecting all these people to come out of nowhere the way they came at him because he didn't want boarding school. So explain that system. What's that machine in the background that he had to deal with?
Yeah, and how Antifa executes the harassment online and X at the time. They're working together as a team. They absolutely are.
Yes, they are. And so primarily they're organizing off of social media. The majority of these groups are organizing within signal chats. And because they use encrypted and encrypted stuff, which nothing is unbreakable, but they feel very safe behind those firewalls. And so generally speaking, what happens is all of these people are organized into signal chat groups by region. And so you would have one that was for your specific area, then your county, then your state, then they break the United States down into zones, and then from the zones up to a federal level. So what happens is when somebody like you is targeted and information goes out within your local chat, and everyone all at the same time will go and target you. And so they will report everything that you're posting. They'll call your job. They'll go through and it happens in waves on purpose. So you have all of these ground level people that are part of that first wave. And then you'll notice that there was most likely, this is how it generally works, there's a breath. So you'll have all of these people coming at you on social media. They'll come after your job. They'll do all of this stuff. And then everything goes dead quiet all at the same time. And normally it's about a week to 2 weeks where everything is quiet. And that's intentional. It's because they want you to pop your head back up again, because basically it's structured like an Orwellian 2 minutes of hate. So they want to see if they can subdue you through the first attack before they go any further. And so if you don't pop your head back up after that first set of volleys, then they'll leave you alone. They'll walk away. But you didn't. No. You popped your head back up. And so that's when they start utilizing the people that they have embedded within the government. Because contrary to what most people seem to think, not just Antifa, but far leftist organizations in general do have people embedded in every area of government at every single level. And the level of infiltration that they have been carrying out goes back far, far further than when I was first involved. They started all of this near the end of World War II, before the end of it. Everything was imported through the Frankfurt School, and they started subverting things, generally speaking, through the educational systems first, so that they could bring people in, make sure that they're indoctrinated, have them fully inculcated. And then from there, they branched outwards. So a lot of people think it started with Bernie Sanders. It didn't. It started before the end of World War II. That is when all of this began. And so the organizational structure that people are dealing with realistically is 80 to 100 years old.
Hey, speaking of Bernie Sanders, this is Terry's got a funny story. So Terry, she used to work with the Bernie Sanders campaign. And guys, you want to see the epic trolling that comes out of real Chicago boys? Matt, put up this photo.
You want me to explain it first so they get it, or not?
No, I want you to explain it as they see it.
Okay, go ahead.
Matt,
all right. So those two gentlemen, buddies up there from the Center for Self-Governance. So Danny Early put up the pictures of Matt Gaetz and some of the senators, right? That was in June of 2023. I was out there. There you go. I love Josh Hawley. There's Gaetz. I was bitching about Southern Poverty Law Center in the hallways. I'm like, oh. And then so we're talking to all the Republicans, obviously, right? And so Bernie, we came. I forgot whose office, somebody from Wyoming or something. And there he goes walking by, and I'm like, and those two guys are ex-military guys, a little more serious than me. I'm like, Bernie. He's like, yeah. I go, can we get a picture? He looked up at the office we walked out of, which was a Republican office. That's all we talked to. He goes, where are you from? I go, I'm from Chicago. We love you, man. You're doing a great job. All right, hurry up. So we go over there, and we hate him with a passion, right? And so that's why we took the picture. That's how that happened.
I'm just picturing Bernie looking at these towering men. Okay, come here. And he grabs your jacket. What is this, velvet? Like,
all right.
That's fabulous.
He turned around. And honestly, I mean, a lot of them are assholes, won't give you the time of day. You know what I mean? I was like, we were kind of surprised. I didn't expect them to say yes.
No, so, guys, and it's wild because, like, here's the thing: the system's like we referenced earlier. You know, it's mob structured with different sects and different groups, and that's why you can't just chop off the head of a snake. It's a multi-headed Medusa demon beast thing, right?
Yep, the Hydra.
Hydra, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. I almost said centaur for some reason. But yes, it's like a Hydra. And being on both sides of this is a cool part of the Magic Carpet Ride, guys. We get to bring on so many different perspectives because I'm under my first wave of attacks from these people. And Terry's been witnessing it. That's what we became buddies. He's like, hey man, I see you going to town on all these people. I walked into an event and there's Terry Newsom. He's like, hey Danny. I'm like, dude, this guy knows me. What up, Terry? Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
So I'm just now starting to experience all this stuff in our fight over here. I had a guy drive by last week while we were filling out petitions, do this to me as he drove by. They're from the current mayor's group. It's hysterical. Like, you're just not slicing my throat like some prosciutto.
Yeah.
But so that ends up happening to you. How does this all turn around, and how does that get switched? Because Jennifer's got an amazing red pill story of how she actually snapped out of that.
Yeah.
And came back to our side.
So I want to talk about two things Jennifer talked about, how they give you a break, and they did. My job, they were going after my job, right? I was in the middle of fighting prostate cancer. I was on a hormone therapy, radiation. The hormones help fight prostate cancer, and it takes away all your testosterone. I was so messed up. I started voting Democrat again because I had no testosterone. But I was like, I'm like, oh my God, my job. Oh, then they took a break. I'm like, whoo, they're done. I thought. And then all of a sudden they started and it got worse, to Jennifer, right? And then in 2023, after the SPLC stories came out, I had multiple HR investigations. They called my company, Jennifer, like you said. And we had 3 floors downtown Chicago. We're all over. We have 400,000 people, right? 3 massive floors. I'm in sales. I never work in the office unless I have a big meeting. So somebody reached out to our tip hotline. You have, it's a requirement of HR and DEI and inclusivity and all that shit. I'm sure it's one of the Hammond brothers, the Antifa guys that've been after me. And they said on the hotline, and I don't know if it was an email because it's anonymous. They don't know who it is, right? They said they work for Capgemini, but they had to quit because their life was threatened because Terry Newsom works there. He hates gay people. He walks in the hallways and makes fun of us and goes up to pride flags. So I had an investigation, and it went through, and like I was on the stand, and like, what happened? Walk off the elevator. I'm like, I walk in the doors. She says, where do you sit? I go for a conference room. I'm never in the office. But don't you have to do hoteling? Don't you reserve a seat? I'm like, no. I go, we've got 3 floors are empty. Oh, so the Antifa guys didn't know that, right? They're empty. There's nobody there. There's no one to harass. I go, it's all lies. There's no pride flag. There's nobody. There's 1 woman in a whole vacant 3 floors. But they had to investigate him because of these assholes. And thank God, because you got to remember, I work for a woke company, and obviously HR people are woke as woke, right? And you can tell on their tone. So I survived that first barrage of attacks. And Danny, you know me enough. I go for the throat. I want fucking revenge, man. And those guys pissed me off. That's when I got really involved. And that's when I started showing up and confronting them and going to events and, swearing at them and just, challenging them online, everything, right? And they turned me into who I am now. Fucking pissed me off, man. Then I got heavily more involved from there. And then you go, so the next thing that happened, I went to CPAC, and TSA started sending 5 agents when I board a plane with undercover air marshals, and they search me again before I get on the plane. Everybody's looking at me. I get on the plane, and I'm like, I always do. I always get exit row. And I'm like, I go, all right, listen, I'm not a terrorist. I go, I'm a school board dad. I was at J6 peacefully, and half the plane laughs. The other half looks like, you asshole. But I want them all staring at me. I don't want to think I'm a terrorist.
I can't say those words on the plane. If I'm no terrorist, that's no one's going to believe that.
So then Matt Gaetz and Troy Niels, after that, I found out that I just lost my TSA pre-check. That was it. They throttled back the terrorist bullshit and stuff. And I didn't have to go through the phone calls to DC and all that shit, right? So I think the letter, because Matt Gaetz was on congressional letterhead, Garland Ray Mayorkas, to them, why did you do this to him? And those three scumbags acknowledged Matt's letter. Not a one of them got back and said, well, we did this because he did this, this, and this. I didn't do anything, you guys, right? And in March, the FBI shows up at my front porch. First, they say they're there because Antifa was threatening my life, which they were. And I'm like, oh, great. I was on the hormones still. I'm like, oh, great. I'm so happy. Oh, you know, and then they go,
we have a death threat clock here. We'll add your name to it. We'll put number 1 on it.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden they go, oh, by the way, no, we know you're at January 6th. I'm like, you got the pictures. I don't know if you guy has. It was in the email that I sent to the congressman. Yeah. And I was like, hold on a minute. You said you were here for Antifa, and it was part of the SPLC. It was they're all intertwined together. And then about a year and a half ago or so, I hosted Tom Homan in Chicago twice before he was appointed. And then after Trump won the election in December, and we had private meetings at his hotel with Raymond Lopez, Democrat, alderman that wanted Tom to come, and a bunch of other big shots that I cannot name that privately wanted him to come to help them. And there was a nice story written in the Gateway Pundit about it. The Antifa, Jeff Tischhauser, SPLC, saw that, and then he took that story and wrote it into a hit piece against me and Tom Homan, and saying that I hate poor asylum seekers. I'm nasty. Tom Homan's nasty. General Michael Flynn, who I mean, he's been on my show. I know him. They went after him as well. And this is all tied into the SPLC and Antifa. They're working together. They hire these people to work for them that are Antifa. And then, so that came out. The story came out, and 10 days later, I lost my job. I lost my job at 23 years at 64 years old. And, I was top sales reps, 7 times over my career there, more than anybody in the fucking world at this company. And I said to the HR people and my Indian bloop, 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 bosses, sorry, no offense. I know and couldn't even speak. It was an insult. Couldn't even fucking speak English. I'm on the phone with this piece of shit and the HR person. Oh, don't worry, Terry. It's because it's not because of performance. I'm like, well, how the hell's that? I'm a salesperson. That's all. It's like, that makes no sense. I said, I know why. It's my politics. Oh no, Terry, we love your politics.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Mm-hmm.
The children, I want to say, you effing liar. I mean, I didn't say that, right? And so I lost my job after 23 years because of that, on barrage. They started going after my job again after that came out. It's all coordinated. And then last year, and we'll go on from here, this is my little trail of connecting the dots. 2 Februaries ago, I said, hey, let me run some FOIAs on me, Terry Newsom, from 2020 to 2025. Just to be clear, because I don't know if I sent you the FOIAs for that story. But
I know where you're going, and I can't wait for you to say this on the air.
So I ran FOIAs, the stuff that is in that summary, but that's all the stuff that's in there is from the Fed saying that about me. That's not me saying it, and I got all the documents, and I ran the FBI, the DEA, and the ATF. The DEA and ATF led the investigation it was mainly the DEA. But I ran FBI, assuming because who I was involved with, they'd have something on me. 0. FBI had nothing on me. It was all DA with the smattering of ATF. Here's me in my 60s. I haven't done anything wrong in 30-some years. And as a 60-some-year-old guy who, school board meeting or DC, they got 346 pages on me from 2022 and 2023. 346 pages. And that's definitely tied into the SPLC and the labeling of me, and that they're working together. And they they keep delaying me. I haven't gotten them. You know why? Because there's something in there that ties in this collaboration that Jennifer says, the FBI still has people that are working on their side, without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll let you guys pick it up from there. And,
Well, Jennifer, what I want you to address on this is like, hey, give them, because his, as a patriot, his claim is they're all connected, because of all the things that we see with our eyes and ears and common sense. You've been back there. Like, how deep does this funding go? How connected are all these groups? It's more than just SPLC and Antifa. There's other groups involved, splinter cells. You know these people. Who are they?
So, my goodness, it's such a deep well of information. So really one of the things that people need to get their head around is mutual aid funding. So most people have never even heard of mutual aid. They don't know how it functions. So on the surface, mutual aid is basically crowdfunding of supplies and resources, and that's how they bill it to the average person on the ground, because there is a big difference between the average person who shows up dressed in black bloc to cause a little bit of trouble and the people who are actually doing organizing. So mutual aid is billed as the way that they fund everything that's happening on the ground. So if you guys remember Chaz Chop and the way that all of that was structured on the ground when they created that massive no-go zone, mutual aid is what was used to set up their kitchen, to provide gas masks, to make sure that pallets of bricks showed up where they were supposed to. Basically, anything that needs to be funded within any level of encampment that they're creating, that is where the money is coming from. Now, mutual aid does not all come from grassroots funding, which is what they say. That's where they say it all comes from. But in all reality, there is a massive amount of money coming in from foreign interests to actually fund all of this stuff. Now, there are a lot of different organizations. And even when you're talking about Antifa, there are a ton of different organizations. One of the ones that I was talking about earlier, it's one of the most prominent, is Rose City Antifa, and they are out of Portland, Oregon. Well, they operate as an autonomous entity, which is how all of these things are structured, but the funding is not autonomous. The funding is all coming via mutual aid. So when you are attempting to look for where all of these different organizations are planted, you have to get very specific about the way that you're tracking down their funding sources. And mutual aid is where everyone needs to be looking. Now, one of the recruitment groups...
Explain mutual aid. What does mutual aid mean so that people know?
Mutual aid is an actual funding organization. So I'm actually going to pull it up so I can read it to you directly. Mutual aid's traditionally been, so it's an organization model, obviously. And there are multiple different hubs that they use to actually fundraise. So if you even just pull it up on Google, you will find mutual aid hub. Okay, it's a .org. If you go in through mutual aid, you'll find networks that fund different leftist causes. And so these hubs on the internet are being used as direct funding resources. And one of the ways that foreign money comes in is they will have people overseas purchase prepaid visas and then make anonymous donations through these hubs. So and the only way that you can actually track that it's foreign is actually through the IP.
Is that like Vote Blue and all them other groups and stuff like that?
Act Blue, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's the same. It is the same racket repackaged and then done over and over and over again. One of the things you have to say is that they're just not incredibly creative with the way that they're structuring things, because it works and because nobody's been directly calling them on it. So, and really, genuinely, all you have to do is look for it. So there's Mutual Aid Co-op. That's one of the big ones that's used. And then Mutual Aid Hub, which is a .org. And they'll also organize through other websites like Indiegogo and things like that as well for smaller things. But you have mutual aid hubs. And that's how the majority of the funding is coming in. And the way that they find the people that they will use as fronts, because some people, their entire job is receiving money and then putting money within mutual aid. The way that they will recruit them is through organizations like the John Brown Gun Club. And a lot of people on the right are like,
you guys hear this one. The John Brown Gun Club. First of all, shout out real quick, Marcos in the chat. Mutual aid is in Aurora. He's going to get me the info tomorrow. Yeah, please do. Talk about the John Brown Gun Club. Guys, Terry, you're going to love this.
I'm writing all this shit down.
I know you are.
So do you guys, first of all, do you guys know who John Brown was? So no. John Brown was one of the major slavery abolitionists, and which on the surface sounds great, right? Okay, but the reality is how he was going about it was he was basically running around the country and executing slave owners.
Okay.
And so he was using radical direct action tactics to achieve his goals.
All right.
So a lot of people think that leftists are against gun ownership. They're not. They're against gun ownership for you. And
right. Yeah.
yes, and they even have their own training clubs, the most prominent of which is the John Brown Gun Club. Well, and it's named for John Brown, who was an abolitionist. So, and they use his tactics. So the John Brown Gun Club is used as a way to recruit people into other more virulent organizations. And it's exactly what it sounds like. They meet at shooting ranges and places like that, and they'll try to recruit people who are there as well, because that is one of the easiest ways to do it. You strike up a conversation with somebody, you develop a friendship, and then once you do that, it's much, much easier to bring people in. So the John Brown Gun Club is one of the most prominent organizations that they use this way, but it is not what it seems on the surface. So it looks like a social club, looks like a social organization, but then as you get to know people who are founding members of different chapters, they'll invite you to different off-site functions until you finally reach a point where they'll tell you, hey, you're going to pull up at this location, you're going to put your phone in a microwave, and we're going to walk out into the woods by about 3 miles, and that's where we're all going to talk. No tech. We're going to go and have an actual conversation about what all of this is actually about. And this is where, when I've told other people on the right about this, they're like, that sounds absolutely ridiculous. I'm like, no, it sounds like they know what they're doing. And so people need to get the whole leftists are stupid, leftists don't have any ability to organize. They need to get that out of their heads, because the reality is these feeder groups, that is how they organize. And they are so well organized that one of the things that they'll do is they'll have chapter members go into places where they know teenagers will be hanging out who are close to graduation. They'll strike up conversations with them, the majority of which they use things like unionization, workers' rights, things that sound on the surface very friendly, and they will intentionally get these kids arrested.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, so I want to give you real life evidence and then jump in just
yeah.
Here in Downers Grove, so my kids went to Downers Grove South and all the bullshit over there, and the Antifa associates and people. So they had about 6 months ago, and it's on my sites, they were advertising a walk out of school, and then I see this little logo on the bottom. I go there, it's 23-year-old communist Marxist with the tape up right in front of the front doors. The leftists at the school don't give a shit. Thank God I got there too. Only like 8 weirdo, kids walked out, and I had a confrontation with them. Oh, don't do this in front of the children. I go, you're here trying to recruit them to be communists. What are you talking about? Don't do this in front of the children. And that's what they were there. They were recruiting propaganda, handing out material to these kids. So go ahead. I mean, that's a real life example of what you just stated.
Do it.
It is. And so from there, they'll find those weirdo kids, the ones that walked out. They'll go, hey, you know what? Your family just really doesn't understand you, and they don't understand the current climate. They don't understand the adulthood that you're going to walk out into, but we do. And we have shelters set up. We have people who are going to help you learn how to actually take action against things to make sure that you can have a future for yourself. And what they'll do is they'll wait until shortly after these kids graduate from high school, and they'll basically unperson them. They'll change their names, they'll change the way that they look, and they'll move them from the location that is close to people that they know to a separate chapter so that they are fully reliant on the people that are basically indoctrinating them into all of these things. And that's how they get their foot soldiers. And for the kids that they don't move around like that, what they'll do is they'll do what you were seeing, direct recruiting for on the ground action. They will have agitators ready who will agitate the police to make sure that when the police show up, they end up instigating a kettle. And I'm sure you know what a kettle is, but for anybody who doesn't, it's basically a mass roundup of protesters who are on the ground, and they want people to get arrested because they want them to be arrested with these agitators. So while they are cooling their heels, waiting to get bailed out, they'll go, see, this is just the way that it is. It's an authoritarian state. You can't even show up. You can't even speak your mind. And that is how they ultimately gain so much loyalty from people who are younger.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the National Lawyers Guild?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, you could let you if you know about it. I mean, so they're funded by the left, and they're always at the. So here's how I know when I go to these events, it's going to get wild. There's like 10 or 12 National Lawyer Guild people walking around, and
Yeah. You look for the vests and the patches, and they're not even all lawyers. That's the best part. They're not.
I go, what you want? You won't talk to me? Come on. Are you gonna help me? Are you gonna help me if I get and I video them when they're taking notes. I'm like, hey, I'm going over their shoulder and stuff.
So there's something wild that Jennifer told me, Terry, and I want you to hear this. So we were talking earlier, Oracle, and you brought up what the actual left, where they're actually getting their training from, which is this crazy red-green alliance of actual leaders being sent out, being trained by Hamas.
Yeah, and by other terrorist organizations, and it's been going on for a while. That is why they operate the way that they do. It's why they organize like terror cells. It is because that is who their top brass is trained by. They are genuinely and legitimately trained by terrorist organizations. And the big fallacy that's happening here is people on the left, these leftists, which the majority of them are Marxists. That's a much more accurate term for what we're dealing with. They are Marxists, and the majority of them believe that they can use Islam as a vehicle to bludgeon the state into compliance and then ultimately take control away from the Islamists. And I'm using the term Islamist because that's also incredibly specific, because that is the political wing of Islam. It's not general Muslims. These are Islamists. And so there is an Islamist Marxist alliance. That is the Red-Green Alliance. It is one of the most dangerous things that the United States has ever dealt with in its history. And the big issue here is the Islamists also see the left as useful idiots. And ultimately, the left will lose control. They will lose control.
So that's funny you said that, because the Red-Green Alliance, this includes communist China, right? And and they're working with the Muslims as well. They don't, they're working as a common enemy, which is us. And at some point in time, like you said, the village idiots will be pushed to the side, and there'll be a separation between the communists and the Muslims, because they're only working together for outcome is to destroy destroy America, right? Destabilize us. And that's what's going to happen. I sent you, I don't know if you, in between a little funny, I sent you me confronting Black Lives Matter, taking our pictures on a test. That's a funny one. You got to see. I went out full Dago on him. I caught him, so we could keep talking. Could he pull that up while we'll talk to buy some time?
No, I got to send it over to.
Okay, so Jennifer, what about tell us what do you know about George Soros and how it trickles down through many different organizations to get into the hands of the Antifa and to fund them?
So first of all, George Soros' real name is not George Soros. It's George Schwartz, which most people don't realize. He actually worked directly for the SS as an informant, and he's Jewish. So he worked as a Jewish informant in order to keep his family safe. That was his goal, to prevent his family from being taken in during the occupation. So he was actually informing on other Jewish people. So that is why this man has the fixation that he does. It's because he wants to do everything within his power to prevent the rise of the Reich, which is an interesting bit of fallacy on his part. So that is his ultimate driving motivation. And most people, they just see him as this figure on the horizon looming and don't understand that his motivation is being a scared little boy, and he is doing everything in his power to do what he thinks will ultimately keep himself safe. So the money that he's putting in, so he's only one major funder. There is a long list of names, most of which people are not familiar with, that are funding all of these different things. And the way that it trickles down is through basically a series of nonprofit organizations. Your 501c3s are able to move money around in ways that people can't even fathom. And it's a way of money laundering. That's part of why I loved that you were talking about this functioning like organized crime, because that's what your 501c3s and, oh gosh, what is it? 501 or 504. It's the organization that goes along with a 501c3. So you have 501c3s are non-political actors. The secondary organization that's established alongside a 501c3, it can be a political actor. And so what'll happen is you'll have money come in from a donor, we'll just say George Soros, that will donate to the 501c3. The 501c3 absorbs that money. They give it over to the political arm of their organization that is then able to use it for direct action, whether that be for funding a campaign or funding boots on the ground. So that is how they exploit a legal loophole in order to move that money around, and why it is so difficult to tie the funding directly to the donors.
That's wild. Guys, this is, for those of you that are watching, those of you tuning in, those of you that watch the clips of this, we literally just packed probably about 2 years worth of information into 56 minutes on dot. We have literally scratched, guys, we have scratched the surface on so many different angles of where you guys see these things coming from. And for the first time, as an audience, you guys are getting to see an actual victim of it, someone who's fighting hardcore against it, with the knowledge and backup of someone that used to operate. I got to tell you guys something. These former leftists that took that pill, that took the red pill, and they came into our side, we have to appreciate them a lot more. There's Republican candidates, there's Republican members in Illinois. They call themselves Republicans that are endorsing and standing behind working with Politico and the SPLC against other Republicans because they've gotten butthurt, but they call themselves Republicans. It's
You know who they are?
Yeah.
I know who they are.
I know who they are too. I'm just not gonna give these schmucks the ability of having their name on the magic carpet
right now.
Yep. Well, and same thing's happening here in Arkansas. It's everywhere. It's a national problem. And for the record, it's a 501c4. That's what is in it. Yeah, it's a 501c3. That's your non-political. And then you have a 501c4 that's allowed political activity.
Well, we're going to make another group right now. We're going to call it the 501. This is Terry Newsom trolling everybody. Rock this video, Matt. This is the video you were talking about, Terry, right?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Great.
How you doing? Huh?
Okay.
Yeah. We're just checking on you. Just making sure you're all cool. Making sure you're cool.
Are you cool? Yeah, Terry's nuts. He goes at them.
Everything well with you?
Everything's good.
That's fantastic.
See their telegraphic. I saw those fuckers. We were at a parents event during COVID, right? And Antifa and BLM said they were going to come and disrupt it. And I went there with some of my friends, not to be named, to protect these people, right? And we had a perimeter. A lot of them are ex-military guys. I was on my one side, and I see that BLM guy with this big camera around the corner of a building. So he has that long lens, and I'm like seeing him, and I'm like looking, and then the car, he backs up, and he gets in the car, and that's when I'm like, F this, I'm going over there. And that's when I got him. I got the license plate. I let him know I caught him. And the driver, I had friends run his license plate. He was arrested with armor-piercing bullets and all kinds of other crap. And so they get money, BLM, just like Antifa, and buying those cameras, and they're taking pictures of us. They're doing surveillance exactly like the military or the law enforcement, and then they take our pictures, they put them together, and they identify us. They use facial recognition. I use facial recognition myself and identify people. And we're in a war. People don't understand. We're in a war, and we're losing the war badly, and they don't even know we're in a war. That's why all this stuff is so important. You brought up, so we have to do in the future I got so much stuff that ties into to reinforce everything Jennifer said. But I got evidence and videos of being embedded. I dress up like Antifa. A lot of people see and you hear Trump say, well, look at their signs. I was at the DNC convention, right? Me and Ben Bergquam and name. God, I forgot his name. So they had signs. Somebody comes in a U-Haul truck rental. The whole inside baseball field was full of these beautiful signs. Full of them. Somebody's paying a lot of money to make them and put them on sticks. Yep. They had so many signs there. They didn't even know, they had not enough people, and they had thousands of people. These signs were stacked, nicely organized.
Well, and it's even more opaque too, because what people don't understand, it's like they're buying sublimation machines to make the t-shirts. They're buying everything that they need to do their own industrial size printing. They have warehouses that they own. They have land that they own for training purposes. Like, it's just so much larger than what I think most people realize. When I was doing a lot of my stuff, I was fundraising to get people to the Democratic National Convention. And I don't know if you remember, if you watched any of the live footage from those protest feeds back in the day.
Which convention?
That was 2016, where they had an entire coffin full of delegate information that they threw over the fences into the DNC before literally storming in and staging a sit-in. All of that stuff is made off-site, and it looks slick because it is. Because there is a huge, huge organization that goes into every single bit of this.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we just showed you guys today
I just
go ahead.
I just sent you a nice picture of the black bloc and show Jennifer put it up there. This was at Broadview. They show up, you know, they have, you know, they get, you know, someone's helping. Some of the stuff they're made themselves, obviously, but a lot of stuff they and, you know, Danny's going to show you a perfect example of, you know, them loaded up in their black military uniforms, and like, you know, it's kind of like they think they're like from Star Wars or something. I make fun of those guys. I really do. It's like, you know,
yeah, it's mockable, but it's nice that you actually know what time it is, because the thing that makes me panic is when I first started on social media, which wasn't very long ago. I started very recently for the purpose of having these kinds of conversations. I made a video and I was like, the right is losing the culture war and they don't even know it.
Right.
Follow me if you want to understand how we can actually deal with and have victory over the left. And the most chilling thing to me was how many people on the right was like, what are you talking about? We're winning. We're winning all of it. And I'm just like, oh, you guys.
Stupid.
Like,
we're crushed. They don't even know it. That's the problem.
Yep, that is the scariest thing for me, is that most people have absolutely no idea how far behind we are right now.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. That's the thing you guys got to understand. We are so behind the eight ball as an organization, as patriots, that people like Terry, like myself, like Captain Obvious, you know, all the rest of our patriots, our group, Oracle, our behind the scenes team, when we get together in small numbers, we move mountains more than thousands of those other clowns. We really do. So, and Terry nailed this thing, guys. We are at war. This is not just something that happens to be happening on the internet or on the news. This is straight out legitimate warfare, unlike anything this country has ever seen. You can see this happen over and over and over again throughout history. You want to talk about what's your Roman Empire? Start researching and start looking at how things happened in history in different parts of the world. Look at the communist countries, the Marxist countries, and the Islamic control countries. Like we said, not Muslims, Islamic radical control. Look at all these things, and you'll see that a little army of misfits is what they're using to create here to start causing these issues. Matt, if you got the photo, anytime you're ready, shoot it up. We sent it in the chat, and he'll have it on here. When we're talking about people organizing and coming out militantly, we are not talking about, it's not coming up in the chat, Matt. We are not talking, guys, about, there it is.
There you go.
We are not talking about people organically waking up and saying, we want to go create anarchy. Guys, this is organized warfare. Wake up and get ready to get into the fight. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the knowingness that there's fear, but the strength to go on is stronger.
Yeah, you owe it to your children, your grandchildren, and people that died for this country. You owe it to them. You owe it to them, because we, you know, we have to. You don't have to go out and do the shit that I do, or you don't have to do a podcast like all of us here, you know. But create awareness. I think one of the biggest things that we're doing on our show is trying to create awareness so people wake up. And to Jennifer's point, my point, we're in a war. You got to understand, if you don't know we're in a war, how are we going to win a war that you don't even know we're in? They're trying to take our children.
You're right. Just like they have facilities, they have organic groups. They're making their own materials. We have the same damn resources. and we need to get together and all do it.
Yeah.
Terry, before we wrap up here, we know you're going to be in DC. Any quick shout outs you want to give out before we close out our show?
No, I'm going to be showing up. Jim Jordan has the CEO, Brian Fair, on the stand Tuesday morning, so watch it. And I will be very as respectful as I can when he's off the stand, and I will be confronting him and about his relationship with Antifa and how he's supposed to, he hates hate and he's creating hate. He's creating hate and he's funding the KKK. And I'm going to call him out Southside Chicago style without swearing.
Well, tag us in everything.
Yep, please do. And thank you for being willing to go out there and put boots on the ground where other people won't.
No, thank you. And we'll do a follow-up with all kinds of stuff I got to support your evidence as well, to show it in action in Chicago.
Oh, you're
absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was the special episode of the Magic Carpet Ride podcast, hosted by my friends, the Oracle, our buddy Terry Newsom. I am President Aladdin, and we hope you enjoy this magical world, shining, shimmering, splendid. Ladies and gentlemen, like, comment, share, follow us, tell your friends to start following us, spread the word. Patriots United. This is the Magic Carpet Ride podcast. Thank you, everybody, and good night.
Thank you.